I don't like this. I do not like this at all. Is that better? Not really. Let's see how this is gonna go. Now I am going to be here to talk about the Princess of Cups. I'm not doing readings. I'm just gonna do. I'm not gonna do tarot readings. I'm just gonna do some book reading if I can get this lined up where I want it. Princess of Cups. Oh, things just fall. That's what happens. Things just fall. I may or may not see the comments from time to time. Alright. Oh, let's see. One of my stones fell to the ground. Oh, wonderful. I did not mean to do that. Oh, tarot cards. We're here for chaos. We're here to talk about the Princess of Cups in the THOTH or the THOTH tarot deck. Once I get settled, anyway. I dropped my tiger's eye, and I don't want to be like Jillian and Practical Magic and be without my tiger's eye. So, oopsie. Just put that there. And my tiger's eye had fallen to the ground. And I'll just put those there. Okay, now, of course, I've got this set up in a way that I'm probably very highly likely to bump it a billion times. So, this is the large version of Aleister Crowley's THOTH, and by US Game Systems Inc. I know there are other versions published by other publishers. This is the large tarot deck, distributed by US Game Systems Inc., Sanford, Connecticut. Okay. And it comes with this book, Instructions for Aleister Crowley's THOTH Tarot Deck by James Wasserman, plus 2 essays written by Lady Frida Harris, with commentary and footnotes by Stuart R. Kaplan. Okay. Maybe I'll do a video where I read some more of this book. Lady Frida Harris. Aleister Crowley's THOTH Tarot Deck. Here is a quote by Lady Frida Harris. The tarot could be described as God's picture book, or it could be likened to a celestial game of chess, the trumps being the pieces to be moved according to the law of their own order over a checkered board of the 4 elements. What do I think about that? So, what we have in the book about the Queen of Cups, or the Princess of Cups, and I just want to point out, so for me, I feel like the court cards in the THOTH deck are extremely different from the court cards in the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot deck, and I don't really try to So the Princess of Cups is not the Page of Cups for me. It's its own card. And we have the Prince and the Princess and the Prince, and then we have the Queen and the Knight. And the Knight, we say, is, in the position normally held by the King, but also, I had a lot of confusion in the beginning because I felt like the Knight was the King, because it's in the position of the King, but I feel like the Knight in Crowley's deck is not equivalent to the King in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, or the King in the Marseille deck. I don't feel they're equivalent. And so in the same way, the Princess is not equivalent to the Page. They are their own things. And I feel like the Princess is like a queen, like a mini queen, a junior queen. And of course, the Queen is the watery part, and the Princess is the earthy part. So that makes a difference as well. So, Princess of Cups represents the earthy part of water. A young woman, infinitely gracious, all sweetness, voluptuousness, gentleness, kindness, romantic and dreamy, ill-dignified. Okay, so if it's ill-dignified, we have indolent, selfish, and luxurious woman. Now, just looking here, when I first saw this card, I saw this thing that kind of looks like a shell, maybe. And I didn't see that it was her dress, and I didn't see that this was her face. So it actually took me kind of a little bit to realize that this is there was a person right there. And so there will be a description, but it doesn't really say whether she's in the water or not in the water. But I always feel like this line here is the water line, and it's like she's underwater, and the swan, so it's like she's everything underneath the swan, where you expect there'd be feet, instead you have her. But that's just, my interpretation, of course. So that was the description from James Wasserman. Now when we go to the first essay by Lady Frida Harris, it's called Exhibition of Playing Cards, the Tarot, Book of Thoth, 78 paintings according to the initiated tradition and modern scientific thought with other occult and chemical designs. So this is probably really quite interesting in the body of it. But we're going to skip that because we're just going to go right to our princess. Princess of Cups. Earthy part of water again. Or this part is emphasized. And I really like this part. It's faculty of crystallization. Also, its power to give substance to idea, to support life, and to form a basis of chemical combination. Okay. All that's emphasized. All that's in italics. The power to give substance to idea. So idea is thought. Thought and idea. That's swords. That's air. So we have the swords and the air. But now, this is the earthy part. So it's condensing. It's getting thicker. And it's able to give substance to idea. I just feel like this is a transition from air sign, which, in my opinion, the ordering is different from generally in the Thoth deck. It goes wands, then cups, then swords. Makes no sense to me. 100% swords belongs above cups. In the Kabbalah as well, the air belongs above the water. It goes straight down into the most volatile and least dense, down to the least volatile and most dense. And by volatile, you might think of explosive, but also the most changeable. So, when something is an inspiration, it's just so ethereal, it's just so, it has no form whatsoever. It's just like this. It's just this, It's not even an idea yet. Then it becomes an idea. And people have ideas, and they can change their ideas. Okay? But when you get an idea, you start to plan, and the more plans you make, sort of the harder a plan can be changed. It's easier to change than, once you start physically building something, it's harder to change. So it's easier to change in the air state than it would be in the water or the earth state. But it's more solid than the fire state, right? So, fire, water, okay. Plans can be changed. Ideas can be changed. Ooh. But you get those emotions involved, son. Get those emotions involved. We give someone an idea, they can change their mind, they can change their idea, but once their emotions are locked into that idea, it's really hard to change their minds, isn't it? It's much denser. Water is denser than air. And then earth, of course, is even more dense and is more solid and is more, crystallized, as it says here. So here we're talking about the crystallization of water. Or in other words, wet water turning into a solid, which is ice or snow. But its power, water's power to give substance to idea, to support life. We know all life comes from the ocean. And to form a basis of chemical combination. That one, I'm not a chemist, so I can't speak on that as much. She is represented as a dancing figure and has a crest of a swan with open wings. Of a swan with open wings. Now I had to look up the definition of crest because I'm thinking, well, when I looked at the picture, I even thought, is it like a hat? It's on top of her head, right? So we are more familiar, with the idea of a family crest or something like that. So what's a crest? So I looked it up. And a crest is something that you wear on your head, or it could be a plume of feathers, or the top of a mountain. It's something at the top of you. So yes, she's crested by. It's on her. It's sitting on her head. She's wearing this swan, which is just a really interesting concept. Now, if we think of her as a person, she's not a person. These beings in this deck are much more archetypal than a lot of other decks. She's kind of like a deity or an archetype or a personification of something. She's bigger. She's larger than life. She's part of this whole, like, sphere of the elements of water. Like, she's in her own sort of, like, what the four suits are like they're like four realms, right? They're these realms, they're these spiritual realms. And so she is a being in the spiritual realm of water, of cups of water. Not a person, right? So, she's like some type of deity or deva or, one of those figured, whatever they're called anyway. And so, she's like a mythical being, like a monster. But I'm using monster in a broader sense, right? And so there's this mythical being who's part of her being is that she has this swan. She wears a swan on top of her head. Like, if you watch the movie The Labyrinth, there's some kind of weird creatures in the labyrinth that have other creatures as their head, above their head. I can't remember the details. Anyway, so, like, I don't know, this just feels, like, important to me. It's, like, not just drawn on top of her or behind her. She's wearing it. It is a crest of a swan with open wings. So I feel like that, open wings clearly is important. She carries a cup with a tortoise. The dolphin symbolizes the power of creation. So here's the dolphin, which I would not have known that was a dolphin, honestly. And there's a cup with the tortoise inside of it. And she's also holding this lotus flower over here, which also makes sense, which is also interesting because, makes sense because we're in the water, right? But lotus flowers are these beautiful things on top, and then they have, like, all this craziness going on beneath the surface. This one is a plucked one, but this kind of, the lotus flower really reminds me of the swan. And, like, you see above the surface the swan, and below the surface is the princess. And it's also like an iceberg, the tip of the iceberg is like the smallest part. It's very similar with the lotus flower, that you think that the flower is the lotus plant, but there's so much more underneath the surface, and I feel like that's what this is, very much underneath the surface. And so probably we could say that this card is talking about the subconscious. Generally, when we're dealing with water cards, we get that. So, the dolphin symbolizes the power of creation. And we know, like, creation is intimately connected with water. So, again, we have the very importance of water. Water is life. Water isn't just like, we think of water as just like one of the four elements, or something that we drink, or something we swim in, or, various things, but it's literally life and creation, right? Okay, that's right. I just saw something today that said some whales, I don't know if it was whales, some type of sea animal had once, I don't know, fact check me on this, because I just heard this crazy thing today that some sea animal had evolved at one point in time to walk on the earth, and then they turned around and they went right back into the ocean. They noped right out of here. So, and they were making the argument that just because something is evolving in a certain direction doesn't mean that it will always continue to evolve in that same direction. Evolution can take curves. It can go in different directions. It's not a straight line. So it's not a collision course with inevitable, whatever's at the furthest point of vision. Alright, so now we have the second essay written by Miss Lady Frida Harris, called Berkeley Gallery's Exhibition of 78 Paintings of the Tarot Cards by Frida Harris, Wednesday, July 1st, 1942. And so this says, Princess of Cups, here is snow. It says, here is snow. I do not see snow in this picture, but Lady Frida Harris says, here is snow. And when I hear that, I immediately think of Frozen. Elsa. Here is snow. Round the princess's dress are water crystals. So that's what these are. I wondered what they would be. These are apparently water crystals. Beside her is a dolphin of Venus. Dolphin of Venus. So I'm assuming the goddess Venus, who was born from the water, not the planet Venus. It doesn't make sense. So, I don't know really any mythology about the dolphins of Venus. But, we can basically, the dolphin would have been her companion animal, her familiar spirit. The tortoise is an emblem of earth. Well, that makes sense. To show the solidification of water in mud, ice, and snow. So water can be solidified through making it mud. So it's solidified by mixing it with earth, so it becomes more solid, and the earth becomes more watery. It can also be solidified through ice and snow. And snow is interesting because it's solid, but it's crystallized. It's like salt, It's solid, but minute pieces that have a flow similar to liquid. Just interesting. Okay. So then, now that is from the book. So now I'm going to turn to the internet. 3175. Why did I say that? That's just a code of mine. I didn't say that. Okay. The Princess of Cups in the Thoth Tarot. This is from Book of Thoth Net. And what I am going to be reading is from Crowley, Book of Thoth. Or Thoth. I used to be really particular about saying it correctly. Now I just say it. Thoth. And I had a whole bunch of people watching and they all left. Okay, cool. Okay. Alright. Maybe some people will watch it later on. The Princess of Cups. The Princess of the Waters. The Lotus of the Palace of the Floods. I'm just going to go real quick. Save plans. Creative images. Okay, there was a really interesting video I was going to save to a playlist, but it disappeared on me. That's okay. Shouldn't be any sound. Okay. Alright, so people came in, they listened for a while, they left. That's fine. I was just curious if anyone had said anything that I didn't notice. But someone did like it. Yeah, someone is still here. Alright, let's see. Princess of the Waters, the Lotus of the Palace of the Floods. A beautiful Amazon-like figure. Right, she's larger than life. Softer in nature than the Princess of Wands. Her attire is similar. She stands on the sea with foaming spray. I don't see this either. Does anyone see foaming spray? Is that what this is? Maybe, but it doesn't, to me it doesn't speak to being spray. I want to see if I can find the Princess of Wands to compare the similar attire. I think these cards are gorgeous. Also, when I read those descriptions in the book, I thought straight away of Lennon Smith, and I would just love to hear her thoughts on this card and on those specific quotes about the crystallization, about the mud and the snow. Oh, she's so smart and insightful. I would just love, maybe she already has done a video discussing these things. Okay, there's the Queen of Swords. What I'm looking for. Okay, this says, softer in nature than Princess of Wands, her attire is similar. This makes no sense. Princess of Wands is wearing nothing. So I do not understand what Alistair is talking about. He's a little off there. Maybe there was, I don't know. Her attire is similar, but I don't see that. In any way. She stands on a sea with foaming spray. Away to her right, a dolphin. She wears a crest. She wears as a crest a swan with opening wings. He doesn't say anything more about that either, just the wings are opening. She bears in one hand a lotus, and in the other hand an open cup from which a turtle issues. Her mantle is lined with swan's down. Now this is interesting, right? Because we can't tell that. There's no way to know that from this picture that I can think of. But he tells us it's true, so. Her mantle is lined with swan's down, when it makes perfect sense, and is of thin, floating material. Sweetness, poetry, gentleness, and kindness. Imaginative, dreamy, at times indolent, yet courageous if roused. When ill-dignified, she is selfish and luxurious. She rules a quadrant of the heavens around Kether. Earth of Water, Princess and Empress of Nymphs or Undines, Throne of the Ace of Cups. The Princess of Cups represents the earthy part of water. Okay, none of that was in quotes. Now we have quotes, so maybe that part might not have been Crowley. Okay, I don't know what to tell you. This part's in quotes, so maybe this is the only part that's by Aleister Crowley. The Princess of Cups represents the earthy part of water, in particular, the faculty of crystallization. She represents the power of water to give substance to idea, to support life, and to form the basis of chemical combination. Which he took that right out of Lady Frida Harris's essay. She is represented as a dancing figure, robed in a flowing garment on whose edges crystals are seen to form. I didn't automatically assume she was dancing, but I can kind of see that. I can see she's flowing outward like Taylor Swift, or before her, Stevie Nicks on stage with the, flowy. Thunder only happens when it's raining. For her crest, she wears a swan with open wings. The symbolism of this swan reminds one of the swan in Oriental philosophy, which is the word A-U-M, or Gin, A-U-M-G-N, which is a symbol of the entire process of creation. So this is entirely important. This is the entire process of creation here in this swan. She bears a covered cup from which issues a tortoise. This is again the tortoise which in Hindu philosophy supports the elephant on whose back is the universe. She is dancing upon a foaming sea in which disports himself a dolphin. Disports himself. Interesting. The royal fish. Didn't know that. Which symbolizes the power of creation. So we have the power of creation, and we have the entire process. We have the power and the process of creation in this cup. And you just thought it was a lowly page. This is a princess. She is the power and the process of creation. And her personality is delightful. She's beautiful, and what did it say about her? Sweetness, poetry, gentleness, and kindness. Imaginative, dreamy, and courageous. At times indolent. So, indolent is sort of like lazy. She's flowy. She's go with the flow. She's not going to be driven. She's not going to be, like, intense. She's, she's go with the flow. Where was I? The character of the princess is infinitely gracious. All sweetness, all voluptuousness, gentleness, kindness, and tenderness are in her character. She lives in the world of romance, in the perpetual dream of rapture. On a superficial examination, she might be thought selfish and indolent, but this is quite false impression. Slightly and effortlessly, she goes about her work. She's not lazy, she's effortless. There you go. Effortless. Silently and effortlessly. She just does her thing. Which is to create, right? In the Yi King, which pretty sure is just another spelling for the I Ching, the earthy part of water is represented by the 41st hexagram sun. This means diminution. The dissolution of all solidarity. Things dissolve in water, right? The earthy part of water. So the earth goes in the water and dissolves. The salt goes in the water. Salt is earth. And it dissolves. Dissolution of all solidarity. What you thought was solid, what you thought was whole, what you thought was real, it just dissolves in this water. People described by this card are very dependent on others, but at the same time helpful to them. Rarely at the best are they of individual importance. As helpmeets, they are unsurpassed. Crowley, the Book of Thoughts. Being as I am Page of Cups, and therefore Princess of Cups is my card. I really love that last little bit, but we'll just let it go for now. Princess of Cups, Princess of the Palace of the Floods, Minor Arcana, Corax.com. Princess of Cups, this is at Corax.com. Princess of Cups, Princess of the Palace of the Floods. Ooh, I just love that. Astrology, Venus in the water signs. Okay, well, so we do have Venus in astrology, as well as Venus in mythology. Elements of the world, the earth in the waters of Bria. So Bria is the realm of water in the Kabbalah. Tree of Life, Malkuth. The Princess of Cups represents the earth in the waters of Bria. An island floating in the groundless seas. So that's why we have the turtle, right? And that's why we have a bird on her head. Like, because her head, everything sort of represents an island or something like which things can be on top of. She is the island. She is the earth of the water. She is the island. She is far from her father's flames and her mother's depth, and she lacks the researching spirit of her brother. She is of endless tenderness, kindness, and lovingness, living on her isle of romance and joy. Therefore, an unaffected spectator might take her as childish or selfish, but the island of the princess can be so fertile and rich. Artistically inclined talents can be detected and supported. Medial abilities can arise and deeper insights can be gained. I don't know what medial means, so let's ask Google. Medial. Situated in the middle. Huh. That's strange. Situated near the medial plane of the body or the midline of an organ. In phonetics, it's the middle of the word. Being or occurring in the middle, extending towards the middle. Medial abilities can rise and deeper insights can be gained. So curious about the use of the word medial there. On the dark side, the island can turn out to be a castle made of sand. Right? Princess of Cups obviously lives in a sandcastle, if she is not one herself. Because I think the princess is everything in this realm. She is the island, she is the castle. Sinking in the seas of irrationality and daydreaming. The Princess of Cups, unwilling to leave her realm outside the common world, may sink with it, and at its worst might seduce others to follow her. Ooh. Drive. Her drive is the exploring of the inner worlds, right? Of course. Again, we're down here in the unconscious, in the subconscious, in the inner, lower, world there. Light, her light is intuition, sensibility, tenderness, fantasy, dreamy imagination, and her shadow is faking. Ooh, right? Fake. Abusive feelings, selfish, luxurious, deviation, a flatterer. Now, why is luxurious a shadow? I mean, I guess, we could dive into that, but we're not gonna this time. Just not gonna. But I am a little curious about I love how she is the princess of the palace of the floods. Okay, and then if we look at the Knight of Cups, which is similar to the king, or in the position of the king, but not the same card. Lord of waves and waters. Isn't that gorgeous? His shadow is seducibility, vanity, unsteadiness, and sentimental obtrusiveness. As an aside. As just an aside, right? I want to see what the Queen is called. Queen of the Thrones of Water. Okay. And the Prince is called Prince of the Chariot of Water. Well, that makes sense as well. I think when you're doing a spiritual study with these cards rather than divination, it's really, 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 really important to not only look at the light, but also the shadow for sure. Faking, abusive feelings, selfish, deviation, a flatterer, and luxurious. Okay, now from thoughtreadings.com, Princess of Cups, Venus 1st/5th. I don't know what that means exactly because not real strong on the archaeology aspect. The house is peace. And astrology says Venus in the water signs, right? Okay. The Princess of Cups represents the earth in the waters, an island floating in the groundless seas. She is far from her father's flames and her mother's depths, and she lacks the researching spirit of her brother. She is of endless kindness, tenderness, and loveliness, living on her isle of romance and joy. We already read this. Is this going to tell me something new, please? Yes, it will. Yes, it will. I scanned that. Princess can be fertile and rich. Artistically inclined talents can be detected and supported. Medial abilities can rise, and deeper insights can be gained. So I'm wondering if medial abilities goes with deeper insights. So more not like more on the surface. I don't know. Look for new ideas or opportunity to come to you out of the blue. Your creative energy is flowing, and now the question is how you will express it. Will you snap up this new idea and turn it into something, or will you let someone else bring it to fruition? It's up to you. Spend time exploring the idea to see if you want to move forward. On the dark side, the island can turn out to be a castle made of sand, sinking in the seas of irrationality and daydreaming. The Princess of Cups, unwilling to leave her realm outside the common world, may sink with it, and at its worst might seduce others to follow her. Ooh. The Princess of Cups is a dreamer in the Thoth deck. We see her dancing her dreams into manifestation. That's fantastic. Thus revealing one of her more secret aspects. This card represents the earthy part of water, and where dreams may become reality. The push and shove of daily life, the pain, the sadness, and the suffering can all make us afraid to dream, to wish, to hope. And often we lose sight of the fact that if we do not dream our dreams, we shall have no dreams come true. In our darkest moments, if we can only, even for a single second, dream of golden, shining, happy days of contentment and a sense of safety in our lives, then we give the Princess of Cups something to dance into reality for us. It is a desperately hard thing to do just for a second. Open our hearts and to hope sometimes, but it is essential too. If only for a second, dream of golden, shiny, happy days of contentment. I just wanted to go over that again. And a sense of safety in our lives. So think, what are your dreams that you're afraid to dream? If you dream my dream, if you dream my dream. And just for a moment, think of those little dreams, those wishes, and give the princess something to dance into reality. But if we cease to dream, then our dreams cannot emerge, for they do not exist. If we relinquish hope, then hopeful things will not happen in our lives. If we surrender optimism, then we can guarantee we shall never have anything to be optimistic about. Drive, the exploring of the inner worlds, light. Her light side is intuition, sensibility, tenderness, fantasy, dreaming, imagination. Her shadow, faking, abuse of feelings, selfish, luxurious, deviation, a flatterer. Reversed. Okay. You may feel called to pursue a new creative project, but you doubt whether you can really make it work. Your inner critic may be on overdrive, or others are telling you that you're dreaming, so you are stalling and holding back. Wow. Keyword, earthly aspect of water, emotional freedom, overcoming jealousy, self-confidence. Emotional freedom and overcoming jealousy. Self-confidence, I would kind of put overcoming insecurity in there as well, which maybe jealousy and insecurity go together pretty closely. Advice, trust your feelings and values. You are on the right track. Question, is there anything else that prevents you from being completely free? Now is the time to go beyond that. Good question for journaling. Lots of good thoughts for journaling. Suggestion, imagine being surrounded by water and dancing the salvation and freedom with light, floating movements. Dancing the salvation and freedom with light, floating movements. Revelation. The more I love myself, the more I can share with others. Ooh. Affirmation. Glory and grace manifest throughout my life. How about that? Do Tarot X. So Tarot X and the Tarot of Eli are two websites I really like. TarotX.net. Instinct, the desire to unite into the universe, divine union with others, sexual coercion that goes beyond the limit. Okay. Purpose, explore the inner world, brave, and plunge into the deepest depths of the soul. The light, aesthetics, fantasy, intuition, grace, tender, sensitive. The shadow, abusive love, deception, temptation, unrealistic. Ooh, see, temptation, that makes more sense to me than luxury. But I see how they would go together, luxury and temptation. Quality, the hidden deep things that are hard to understand. So, like I said in the beginning, to me it felt like she was under the water here. Like this is the water line, she's underneath. And I feel like I definitely believe that now, because this is really about deep things that are underneath the surface. It's very much about things that are under the surface. The hidden deep things that are hard to understand, and the urge to aspire to the emotional and dreaming world. And it also says, daughter of floodwaters. Analyze and describe the Princess of Cups. Here is a charming character dancing to create a transparent light in front of our eyes. She has risen from the floodwaters to bring to the world a model of the deepest desire to reflect in her irresistible ecstasy of beauty and inaccessible melancholy. We see the princess wearing a wavy dress with many crystal beads on the edge. She is the daughter of the inner world who wants to enter the world of external material, earth in water element. She danced on the sea of emotions and sentiment in which a dolphin, representing our world of awareness and affection, was following the waves. So deep. And the swan, spreading wings over her head, crown, is a signal of innovation and rebirth. The turtle in her right hand is the embodiment of the sheltered inner world in the process of being cautious to come out to the outside world. No other thing mentioned that. I wonder if anyone else thought of that right away when they saw the turtle, that being sheltered and being cautious to come out. It's so obvious. I'm mad that I didn't see that. But yet none of the other things mentioned it until now. This card symbolizes the exploration of inner images and deep images in the unconscious lands of the ego, as if she had transformed back to the origin, where everyone saw the reflection of their souls. Okay. So the reason I love that is because of the wild unknown, the daughter of cups. This is the daughter of cups. And here is the reflection. And on the actual card, which I don't have handy, I have the book handy, is the only place on that card where there's color. And so I've always felt like the color guides you to what's important. And so I, even though it's not even in the description, reflection is important to me, to the meaning of the daughter of cups in the wild unknown. And then now here I've got this about reflection in the Thoth tarot that I can carry over to my wild unknown. This card symbolizes the exploration of inner images and deeply engages in the unconscious lands. Where did I see? Okay, I guess I'm just rereading this, but I'm reading it anyway. Symbolizes the exploration of inner images and deeply engages in the unconscious lands of the ego. as if she had transformed back to the origin, where everyone saw the reflection of their souls. The reflection of their souls. That makes me think of the Neverending Story, where he has to go through the test, where he has to look in the mirror and see his true self, and it says that most men run away terrified when faced with their true selves. That's what that makes me think of. Meanwhile, she was very absent-minded and inviolable in her heart. Inviolable? What is inviolable? If you know inviolable, if you know the definition of inviolable and you're rewatching, post down in the comments. Post down in the comments. But I'm going to tell you now. Okay. Inviolable, never to be broken, infringed, or dishonored. Inviolable, so unbreakable, untarnishable. Wow. What an amazing word. I'm so glad that I just found that word. Okay. Inviolable. Now, what were we saying about inviolable? Uh-oh. She was very absent-minded and inviolable in her heart. So she's pure, she's untarnished, she's innocent, but she's protected, she's naive, right? She's inviolable in her heart. Wow. She is the temptation that is also the power against it. There is something like a lotus blooming in her left hand because it is not a symbol of physical love, but a divine union with the ego. And we're talking about the ego in terms of a sense of self, not the ego in terms of like the way it's used in the outside of spiritual community or outside of psychological community, right? Not as a negative thing, but just as a part of ourselves, the ego and the superego, right? So, it's not a symbol of physical love, but a divine union with the ego. So if you're having a divine union with the ego, then what does that make what is the ego? And what is this divine union with the ego? With yourself. With that part of yourself that individuates, that sees itself as separate from everything else. It's like, what's that word? It's like what's the word for it's like an oxymoron. The divine union with the ego. So the union with the divine uniting with the sense of herself as a separate being, separate from the divine, right? So it's that, it's hard to explain, but yeah. Meeting with the divine. And your own sense of self being in contact with the divine while still retaining your sense of self but then it dissolves in the water because we talked about dissolution in the water. This is where the physical desire flows into pleasure to experience deep relaxation and intermediate consciousness. Darn it. Intermediate consciousness. I read that first as not intermediate, but it's like sporadic. Something. It's okay. It's similar to intermediate. If you know that word, type it down in the comments. 2. The myth. This card reminds us of Undine, the goddess of the sea, who captured the immortal soul of humans when she found the victim husband. In terms of implications, she is a sweet, charming person representing our Unrequited desire deep inside, longing to draw us back to our roots. In terms of psychology, she's the embodiment of the inviolable child. Is that the word that we looked up earlier? Inviolable? Say that it is, please. Yes, inviolable child. The innocent child that will forever be innocent, right? The childlike empress. Actually, there's connections. I don't remember, but there is totally some connection between Aleister Crowley, and the author of Neverending Story. Now that I think about it. So anyway, the childlike empress, the inviolable child, who tempts people, seduces them to deep places, like bringing, can't help it, bringing Bastion. She kind of just seduced him because she, not in a sexual way, but she brought him towards her. He had to make that journey in order for her to be ready to get to come to the deep place. The child who tempts people to the deep places, not because of wanting to harm them, but she innocently does not want to see the consequences she evokes in feelings of others. Princess is a model of a woman who is open to everything and yet is against everyone. That is weird. I don't understand that exactly. But anyway. Unrequited desire deep inside, along each draw us back to our roots. Oh, at the beginning. The goddess of the sea who captures the immortal soul of humans when she found the victim. So, I just don't remember what I was going to say about that. Except that the sea, again, represents our subconscious and our collective unconscious, drawing us back to our roots. So just sort of pulling us into our dreams, into our daydreams, into our regular dreams, into our inner worlds, pulling us in to really explore. Interpretation of the Princess of Cups in the Thoth Tarot. This card can represent people in any field of life, but it can also be an experience in the field that corresponds in question. Okay. Human. The card embodies a sensitive and sharp girl who appeals to us with affection, a gentlewoman who gently stimulates our emotions, a pleasant person with many beautiful ideals and sharp intuition that excites us, or a friendly and sensitive person that makes us touched and makes our inner emotions flow like the spring water flow after the winter days. It is spring now, so. Overview of the Princess of Cups. The daughter of floodwater shows the image of the soul from areas of everyday life, dreaming in the unconscious water. She was not ready to receive reality immediately because she could not allow herself to consider her dream an unrealistic and bizarre thing. She cannot receive reality because she's violet or whatever. She's not, that's why she's open but closed. She's open to everything, but she's like closed to reality because she's not willing to risk being like losing that innocence that she has. In these dreams, she felt the endless truth rising from the most mysterious unconscious levels. This card shows the stages of romantic dreaming, endless desire, and deep emotions, but also when we recognize and can develop our artistic talents. Right, because they come from within. Of course. Awareness. Although in negative nuance, this card can show what we describe it in words such as withdrawing from the outside world, crazy ideas, and self-deception. Even this detrimental effect is also a sign that people begin to turn to matter and begin to listen to their inner impulses, even if their interpretation is often inaccurate. Ooh, this card for career. The mysterious beauty represents emotional openness, bringing new looks at work. Okay. The lotus of the tidal castle is something like a seismic chart that records the first emotional changes before the long time they impacted on life. In terms of personal experience, this card foreshadows new motivations that will help us more in the current situation. Regarding the water element of the card, this may be a matter of wise advice or an intermediate message. What was the word I thought instead of intermediate was sorry, I had to shake. Okay. Intermittent. That's what I was thinking of. Intermittent. It wasn't intermittent. It was intermediate. Sentiment. In a relationship, this princess signals something will soon happen based on the level of affection. It may be the first warm breeze after a cold war, or motivation to discover love again. Similar correlation to the Princess of Cups Thoth Tarot. In astrology, we connect with Venus, or the zodiac of the water element. Element, earth and water. I Ching is the 44th hexagram, Gu. Okay. Meeting. And 57th hexagram, Zun. Light intrusion. Okay, that's weird because what I got before was the 41st hexagram. And I brought up some things to read if we get that far before midnight. I Ching. Well, but we also apparently have the 44th hexagram and the 57th hexagram to consider. Human, a charming and sharp girl whom you cannot approach emotionally and is often difficult to understand. Interesting. This is my card. A charming and sharp girl who you cannot approach emotionally and is often difficult to understand. You'll have to ask people outside of myself if that matches me. Similar objects. Mermaid, Naiad, Goddess of the Sea, Dead Souls. Ooh, Dead Souls. Dead Souls. Sacred Place, Seven Virgins, Granite Cliff on the Rhine. How to research the Seven Virgins Granite Cliff on the Rhine. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced. This is opposite to Lorelei Rock Hill. Interesting. And only seen at low levels of water. Sacred color, seaweed green, white of sponges. Sacred stone, aquamarine stone. I got a little bit of aquamarine. Scent, camphor. And Cestrum nocturnum. Don't know what that is. Sounds a little dangerous. A little gothic. Princess of Cups, in the upright and reverse. Upright. She is a romantic, sweet, kind, gentle, and deep person. On the picture of the card, she is deep in the ocean. I wondered if she was meant to be under the ocean. She says she's deep in the ocean. But usually only lost in the romance, as she showed indifference to her environment. She can be a dreamer and not participate in life, depending on others, but gives a lot in return. Interesting. Also, I felt like when I read about lost in the romance, but shows indifference to environment. So it's like she's lost in the romance of it, more so than like the person. It's the romance. The feeling, it's the experience, more so than the connection. But the connection is the experience, of course, but just spitballing. Reversed Princess of Cups. Insolent. Too many luxuries. That makes more sense. Shallow. I am not shallow, I'll tell you that. Unable to show her depth. Maybe sometimes. Princess of Cups in a Celtic cross spread. If it's card 1, it indicates a romantic situation, either about love for others or in love with life in general. Find romance, feel love, give up. Ooh, this is cool that it gives you an explanation for each. So this, to remind, is tarotx.net. I really like this site. It comes up a lot when I'm doing research on a specific card. So I love how it'll tell you like what it might mean. Always remember everything is might. Yeah. What it might mean if it's the first card in your tarot spread. The central theme. The crossing influence. It could mean unrequited emotions or being unable to express affection. And 3, the subconscious influences. So that's the underneath. So for me, that's card 4, but whatever. We are very sensitive and may have been hurt in the past. Okay. Card 4, recent past. So that's the behind card. I don't lay them out that way, but in that position, romantic, live your dreams, but do not really have real experience. Look back on a time when you were in love and compare the present with that. Okay, those make sense. In the above, this is your crowning card. They call that card 5. I call that card 3. Hopes and goals. To find a partner to express yourself fully and share sensitivity. Well, that makes very much sense. Man, it's somebody first studying the tarot. I think this, breaking down what a card would mean in each position of such a classic spread, is such a good tool. Once you get to that level. Immediate future, card 6. In the moment you are, which is also card 6 for me as well. At the moment you are in a dreaming period that may not come true. You may need to work on your own until the right person comes. It can also indicate the beginning of a more romantic stage. Card 7, how you are affecting your situation. Sensitive, kind, thoughtful, a dreamer, sometimes unrealistic. Card 8, how others are affecting your situation. Unrealistic, slightly idealistic, but caring and sensitive. At the moment, our environment is emotional and can react in that way. Just a little, anyone could toss a pebble in your pond and ripple your waters, right? Card 9, guidance or warning. You need to protect yourself from those who will not connect with your sensitivity. Also, to see who people really are and not overestimate others. And card 10, overall outcome. Achieve true love in life in a romantic relationship. A positive result, connecting to our sensitive aspect and being able to show it in a safe environment. So in the 10 position, it gives me kind of a 10 of Cups feeling. In a lot of these positions, one of the positions anyway, it was making me think of the Fool card. Okay, so that's everything on that page for TarotX.net. I wanted to get to the I Ching, but I also want to look at the Angel Pass page. Okay, so the Angel Pass page, Princess of Cups. If this card comes up to represent a person, she will be a gentle, romantic individual with high levels of intuition. The Princess of Cups is compassionate and caring, warm and responsive. She is at peace with her emotional nature, often highly creative and artistic. She has a certain fragility, particularly when coming in contact with the harsher realities of everyday life. She wants to maintain that innocence, those rose-colored glasses. And will not always cope well with conflict. In her world, tranquility and harmony are highly valued. Amen, sister. If, as it often happens with the Princess of the deck, the card comes up to represent a change in events, then the interpretation broadens out somewhat. For instance, the Princess of Cups will sometimes come up to indicate forthcoming pregnancy. The card also appears to indicate a woman falling in love. That makes sense. If the card applies to a state of mind, then it will indicate heightened perception and tells you to listen carefully to the voice of your own intuition and to follow through with any ideas which arise from it. Alright, so then you can click on Working with the Princess of Cups if you're on angelpath.com. Talks about her dancing the dreams into manifestation and revealing one of her secret aspects, and the earthy part of water, where dreams become reality. On the day I wrote the commentary for working with this card, it came after the Nine of Cups, which you'll remember is the Wish card. That seemed to me, whoever wrote this, to make for a very auspicious and important set of circumstances. At the time, I had written up the details on 56 out of the 78 cards. The fact that the Wish card was followed by this one concentrated my attention on her remarkable ability to make dreams come true. The push and shove of daily life, the pain, the sadness, and the suffering can all make us afraid to dream, to wish, to hope, and often we lose sight of the fact that if we do not dream our dreams, we shall have no dreams to come. Oh, a lot of this is just copying from each other, huh? Oh, we shall have no dreams to come true. In our darkest moments, if we can only dream, we already read that. But if we cease to dream, our dreams cannot emerge, blah, blah, blah. Lift, in your darkest hour, lift your eyes to the sky, search for a perfect flower, seek to touch something you love, and for that moment, let yourself hope and dream and wish. Then the princess will have something to work for on your behalf. And when your life is full and happy and replete on a day ruled by this card, please spare a thought for those who suffer, and hope for fulfillment and contentment for all those who seek it. So, affirmation is glory and grace manifest throughout my life. Beautiful. So that was the Angel Pass. Oh, okay, so, there's a whole bunch of really great sites talking about this, but I just want to hit on the Tarot of Eli, and then I will go to the I Ching. Because I know that I really like the Tarot of Eli. So this is Eli Tarot strikingly.com, all one word. Or if you just search Tarot of Eli, it'll come up. Represents mastery of emotional objectivity achieved by working through manipulation, jealousy, possessiveness, and seduction. In viewing the Thoth, Princess of Cups, which is traditionally a Page of Cups in the Middle Ages tarot, we see the turtle and the seashell, symbolizing the capacity to offer emotional loyalty and longevity to others by being objective and non-possessive. The swan coming out of her head represents emotional security and the ability to communicate her feelings, desires, and concerns in realistic and meaningful ways. The dolphin emphasizes this ability. Okay. My throat's really dry from talking. Hi, Miss Moonlight. I don't know when you said it, but hi. And I had this drink earlier. It's Olipop Classic Root Beer, a prebiotic, botanical plant fiber, non-GMO soda. Made with carbonated water. And it has root fiber, chicory, root insulin, Jerusalem artichoke, all this stuff. So, I had almost forgotten I had it. And when I was thirsty, I remembered. So, The swan coming out of her head represents emotional security and the ability to communicate her feelings, desires, and concerns in realistic and meaningful ways. The dolphin emphasizes this ability. The crystals on her gown show a crystal clear ability to look at things as they are instead of what she wants to see. I question that, but okay. The free-floating lotus blossom shows her trusting heart. She is devoid of a possessive and controlling heart. Aww. That's interesting, because I am really not controlling and not very possessive. I have occasionally been afflicted by some possessiveness, but I tend to not be. This is Elaine the Virgin, moon goddess of Arthurian legend, who is the keeper of the Grail. In the Grail Temple, where she wove the tapestries of life, death, and fate, Elaine was reported to be the dispenser of joy, but also a source of hidden knowledge, bestower of mystical insight, and gift of wisdom. The Tarot Princess pages... The problem with this is that it is very bubbly. So, excuse me if I do have to burp here, but hopefully I don't. The Tarot Princess, Page of Cups, Chalices, represents the earthly part of water, especially the faculty of water that promotes crystallization. She represents the power of water to give substance to idea, to support life, to form the basis for chemical combinations. This is also the power of woman, and is the power of woman, capitalized woman, and is part of the magic womb rite that mothers perform. Okay. The Thoth Tarot card, presence, water in color and depiction. Excuse me. In the Thoth Tarot, excuse me again, Elaine is represented as a dancing figure robed in a flowing garment at whose end crystals are forming. She is crested with a swan with open wings. In Oriental philosophy, the swan represents AUM, which is a symbol of the entire process of creation, which in Western philosophy is best described by the word magic. If you can think inwardly, then you can understand that the magus doesn't use magic. It marries him. Okay? Magic becomes his consort. Magic is how we create. Since our imagination is on the quantum side of the mirror, all imagined things are brought into the being by the magic of our abilities. The seashell cup the young Elaine holds has a tortoise climbing out of it. Here again, Lady Frida Harris represents Hindu philosophy in her art. The tortoise is symbolic of the steadily moving platform supporting the 4 elephants, which are the 4 elements. Nice wordplay, right? The 4 elements. Maybe I'll start calling them the 4 elephants from now on, who hold the world on its back. In other words, representing the foundation of life force for the earth, which may seem slow in evolutionary terms, but is persistent and undaunted. The dolphin that is disporting in a foamy sea symbolizes the power of creation known as the royal fish, which is also known as the first matter. The archetypal personality that the Princess of Cups represents. Consult birth chart from Robert Wang's book, The Mystical Kabbalah. And then it shows this thing, Princess of Cups. It's a circle. It's very confusing. I'm skipping that. Is personally infinitely gracious, voluptuous, gentle, kind, and tender. Her life is romance, a perpetual dream of rapture. We already said that, but I love it. Superficially, she seems selfish and indolent. She's not. She just goes about her work silently and effortlessly with no need to consult others, but always willing to assist. As a helpmeet, she is unsurpassed, for she is very dependent on others, but at the same time very helpful to them. This concept of dependency may seem counterintuitive to powerful expression. However, it is in union that her power flows, and in this essence, the art of dependency becomes crystal clear. Now, I remember union was mentioned before. Anyway, to find an ill definition of this card is rather difficult because her strong points can be considered weak points in the perspective of divisionism, but her strong points are the perspective of union, and alone she is often envious. To some, being a romantic can seem a negative character trait. To others, empowered artistic expression. All in all, she is enjoyable as a beautiful blue, green, yellow butterfly, flitting from flower to flower, and may be just as innocent. I, for one, would never try to contain her, nor pin her down for display. I would recommend against it. I'd rather be pan to her romance and play the flute music supporting her dance on the night of the full moon. Oof. Oof. Okay. The Thoth, Princess of Cups, and the Ace of Cups. Ace of Cups. So there's some talk about the Ace of Cups. The Princess of Cups represents the earthy part of water, life fluid. Life fluid. In particular, the faculty of crystallization. Therefore, the crystallization of the life fluid, or the Ace of Cups. Hence, the Princess of Cups represents the Grail's power of manifestation, and the Grail, of course, is the Ace. She is the power of water that gives substance to idea, to support life, and to form the basis for chemical combination that is often called solution. And the Princess of Cups represents the earthly part of water. Did I already read that? Yes, I did. So I'm going to look for the Ace of Cups, and I have a particular reason. Because there's something I've not yet ever seen mentioned. When I look at that particular card. I think these cards are completely stunning, by the way. And you know, I'm perfectly happy that my deck is not trimmed. That they have borders. Of course, the Ace of Cups is going to be right at the top. Because I started looking towards the back. Oh, Queen of Discs is so amazing. Yep, there it is. Okay. So here is the Ace of Cups. And I don't, anyone else, it's a cup. Anyone else see what I see here? Because I see the uterus and the fallopian tubes. And I also see that here in this little pretzel-y looking thing that's on the cup. I've never seen it described that way, but you know, maybe I was looking at it one day when that was really in my mind, that iconography of the uterus and the fallopian tubes. And also, is this painted on the cup, or is it literally something inside of the cup that you can actually see through the glass? I don't know why this came to me one day, and I don't know if it matters, but it did. So I'm sharing it with you. So, where was I? As stated, the Princess of Cups in the Thoth Tarot represents a dancing figure robed in flowing, crystal-edged garment, all of which indicates her flowing, crystallizing abilities. Thus, we can determine that she is an active, rather than a passive force from the Great Mother. This determination is continued in the imagery of the swan taking wing. The swan is a symbol of Oriental philosophy and is a vibrant harmonic of universal creation. So, I'm going to go to Mario and skip right over that, and I'm going to look up What are we looking for? We're looking for Oriental philosophy. Oh. don't know if, I don't think we use the word Oriental philosophy anymore. Right? So is it Buddhist? Ahm's teachings and spiritual practices were inspired by Buddhism, in particular Vajrayana Buddhism is practiced in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. Yoga and other bodily mind training practices, such as meditation, combined with catastrophic end of the world thought. Oh, interesting. Is the vibration by which the Supreme Spirit brings all things into manifestation. How about that? So what did we say about the swan? So the swan is the symbol of the vibrational harmonic of universal creation, or the sound that brings all things into manifestation. The Princess of Wands, cups, swords, and discs all give a character to the root power they are associated to. The princesses are called the thrones of the Great Mother, as they represent on earth, Mother's rule. Root powers are without will and thus not focused. The princesses are the intelligently focused energy of a root power and are thus aware and more personalized intelligence with conscious characteristics. These great daughters of the Great Mother have their own peccadillos, and it behooves the practitioner of magic to know them. For instance, the Princess of Cups has an infinitely gracious character that is voluptuous, sweet, gentle, kind, romantic, and the perpetual dream of rapture are her very nature. Unlike the volcanic nature of the Princess of Wands, to the shallow thinker, the Princess of Cups may seem indolent and selfish, but the fact that she goes about her work silently and effortlessly dispels such interpretations. Like a mountain stream, she loves to dance and sing, being effervescent in her personality. Thus, here am I, drinking sparkling carbonated water. Flavored with all the delicious roots that were originally used to make root beer, and now it's all artificial flavors. She loves to dance and sing, being effervescent in her personality. These princesses are elemental intelligence and can be communicated with. However, their nature is a direct union with a force beyond the practitioner's control. Tried and true rituals of magic are recommended so these forces can be contained before they become an overwhelming flow. In the case of the princess, as a core personality, the self-conscious will be overwhelmed by the extremely dreamy rapture of her archetypal nature and become unable to operate successfully in the day-to-day world. Welcome to my life. Many of us don't realize that the archetypes of the basic 16 types of personalities, as represented in the court cards and seen in our world, are elemental forces. This is because of thinking of divide and conquer, which enslaves our minds. We have forgotten that our human bodies are elemental beings. The whole we are a spiral entity, spirit, and not of the elements, but transformers of them. Hence, we are not seeking to become more spiritual, for that would be like a fish in the ocean looking for water. Rather, we are seeking to become more crystallized or condensed. Rather than just rays of electromagnetic microwaves from one energy, we wish to become intimate with creation while also learning discernment. How about that? Spiritual is spiritual and or spiral energy, such as a microwave of the electromagnetic spectrum. Spirit, being infinite and eternal, therefore the idea of more or less becomes a ridiculous concept. As children of the divine creative, microwaves of intelligence from the galactic core, we have succeeded in becoming a united life force, united with that which it activates, i.e. the alive form. We are more than attempting the whole union of master, which is spirit, and masterpiece, which is form, which is often called as above, so below. We are the above connecting to the below. Enlightenment is a misconception. We are, I am, the force of existence, who builds a me, manifested awareness, and the knowledge of the universe is already achieved, obviously, truth is made manifest. Therefore, in the trinity of objective self, I am me. The me needs to seek nothing. It must operate only by the will of the I am that seeks awareness through the process of condensing the first material thought into lower and lower frequencies until it becomes self-conscious thought that can be made manifest, as this is how creation can be examined sensually. Isn't that what sensors are for? Up close examination. Sensors, meaning the ability to like the five senses. Hence, the body is a sense of presence, as the ocean is a sense of ocean. Oh, by the way, the human body gives us as spirit much more than 5 senses. According to the tantric yogis, it applies 33 senses that can only be realized when the real person, soul, operates the brain rather than the automatic loops of indoctrinated data. Woo, okay, Eli. As a fellow I am, I know that I did not come to seek spirituality. I am that. I have come to seek a sense of discernment so that I can examine my creativity or imagination for errors that may impede the great work by collapsing the universe. Hindus say it has collapsed 4 times. This discernment enhances the as above so below. I am a Kabbalist because that knowing of myself aids me in the purpose that I am, the spirit of us all, to be me. I, who is psychic spirit, divine creative, define knowledge through being. As a Kabbalist, I have also married the 4 daughters who rule the elements from the 4 quadrants of the north, thereby reinstating my princely status. Well, that's very male-centric, but okay. We'll let that go for now. When the Princess of Cups is thrown during a reading, the querent is often experiencing emotional detachment that is free of jealousy, being rapturous and gentle, kind and tender, a personality full of romance, dreams, and loving visions, but also a dispenser of hidden insight and wisdom. See Elaine, the moon goddess, may seem to be an exhibitionist, and that is merely her innocence and joy of being showing itself. If ill-defined, the Princess of Cups suggests flightiness, shallowness, and inability to accept reality. When this card is thrown for a woman or shows up in her tarot birth chart as significator of her core personality, it states that she is objective and intuitive, gentle and kind, emotionally loving rather than attached and clingy, can be impulsive and often takes initiative. When thrown for a man, the Princess of Cups represents their inner feminine nature, their anima, that is committed to offering emotional longevity while being loyal in realistic, non-possessive ways. I'm here for that. Therefore, this personality card may represent both genders. The princess may also be a person in one's life who is one's own age or younger, and who may be teaching one lessons about emotionally letting go. This is a water sign card that is associated with Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio, and may represent the people born within these time frames, who is known to the querent. So in other words, the card could represent someone who is a Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio in the querent side. Oh, that was a lot. Thank you, Tarot of Eli. The I Ching. $94. Well, I want to talk about the I Ching, the Sun decrease, hexagram 41, which was stated a few times, is connected to the turtle in this card or some part of this card. Sun decrease, action, evaluate. Hidden influence, 24, return, go back. Underlying cause, 31, influence, woo, whatever that is. What is unobservable in this world is gestating in unseen form, and I think that's really important to this card. What is unobservable in this world is gestating in unseen form. It's forming underneath the ocean, just like all life, like all life did, in an unseen form, waiting to, come up above the water, like the little crab in the moon card, or the crayfish or lobster, or whatever type of crustacean you want to describe it as being. For everything you have missed, you'll gain something else, and for everything you gain, you lose something else. Emerson. Reading at a glance. It is said that is it pronounced Tao? T-A-O? Excuse me. It is said that Tao appears to move backward. Life moves inward and outward in fixed rhythms, and it is time to turn back and evaluate. It's like when something is in retrograde. There's a period of flowering followed by decline, although what appears to be turning back is really turning inward as life continues to move forward. Decrease is the only way to increase, because what is full cannot be filled anew. And I want to repeat that again. Decrease is the only way to increase, because what is full cannot be filled anew. So when you feel like you're doing one step forward and two steps back, the steps back are important, because you cannot fill your cup unless it's empty. You cannot, So you have to fill it and empty it, fill it and empty it. This is a thing I think makes us all feel like failures, like a personal failing, like that shouldn't happen to us. But this is saying that this is the way, this is the natural way. The underlying cause of influence reveals a time focused on the world around us. However, the hidden influence shows this to be a time for return, gestating, planning, or turning inward. Trees are made stronger through pruning, where overwatering a plant could kill it. Decrease can still be a principle of growth, even when the message is to do less or remove. You may need to cut back in one area of your life in order to direct more energy toward another. The message of decrease suggests finding strength by removing the superfluous. Sun is the image of offering something freely in a ceremonial vessel to make a sacrifice in some way. Amazing benevolence is how you let go to discover what is rightfully yours. You may need to give up something you feel is important as a commitment to conscious growth with another. Businesses often use a time of decrease to expand. If sales are down, distribution channels can become an opportunity to market new products. Those who understand the cycles know that increase will follow decrease, and will use the time to fortify the foundation or to examine what is working and what is not. Whatever you may lose during a period of decrease will pave the way for something else. Nature shows us that decrease is not a negative event. It is simply how it continues in its forward movement, even while appearing to move backward. And I've been having these insights related to this idea, and then there it is. Harvest comes from pruning and drainage by what is taken away. Through the sudden release of tension, something is sure to be lost. Hence follows the image of decrease. This also makes me think of the Three of Swords, because you have the two swords that are opposing each other and they're holding each other off, and so there's that tension, right? And then sudden release, that third sword comes in and sort of breaks the tie, so it releases the tension, and something is lost. I mean, we see the heart is plunged through, and we see the rain being released from the clouds, and so there's this letting go. There's this release. Just as there is a beginning to the time of flowering, there is also a beginning which ushers in a time of decline. At the height of summer, autumn is imperceptible, and yet the decline has already begun. The sage, and again, we're talking about the imperceptible underneath the surface, and yet the decline has already begun. The sage is aware of the moment when the phenomena begins to change and knows that what ebbs outward flows inward. When you model nature, you'll discover how life's energy remains constant through change. It doesn't say through change, I'm saying that. The idea that nature abhors a vacuum comes from the conservation law of physics. It states that the sum total of matter and energy in the universe cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. Einstein showed how mass could be converted to and from energy. Like the particle collisions that transform energy into mass, we see how what is unobservable can still exist in unseen form. The masters' skill in forecasting impending events often made their followers think they were magicians. The great masters had merely followed long enough to trace the outline of change apparent in all transforming phenomena. In other words, they followed the path. They looked back at the history. They looked at the way, the direction, the outline, the shape, so they knew what was coming. They saw the pattern and were able to forecast. During winter, life dissipates in the observable world to bring new life to the unseen world below. Decrease is not a negative event, but merely the shifting of life's energy, like when trees drop their leaves. They're conserving their energy so that they can survive through the winter. You think of it as the tree dying, but it's actually the tree surviving. Whatever you may lose paves the way for you to open to something else. It is the natural order of the universe to return to a starting point or cyclical beginning. If something develops in its extreme, it will revert into its opposite condition. Sun is the image of offering something freely in a ceremonial vessel. As the lake rests below the mountain, we discover how stillness or thought without striving makes the universe surrender. So, thoughts without striving makes you think about the princess with her effortless actions. There's nothing pushing back on us to make us open. The unseen portent of yin becomes accessible when you recognize decrease as pathway to increase or new growth. Right. And yin is what we think of as the feminine, what we think of as the dark, what we think of as quote unquote negative, in terms of the polarity of negative and positive, not in terms of, negative meaning bad. But funny how the feminine things ended up becoming considered bad, right? Dark, negative. The master said, things are sometimes increased by being diminished, and at other times are diminished by being added to. Ooh. Wow. Right? At other times are diminished by being added to. Yeah, when you just go too far. You're being too much. You're doing too much, right? In the viewing experience, try to see that all things are equal. What may be decreasing will open you for new opportunity. You cut away unnecessary growth, and the plant grows stronger, while overwatering will destroy it. There are times when decrease or letting go is necessary for healthy growth. Observing the shifting of energy in the natural world, if something is receding in its observable manifestation, it is because unseen energy is gathering somewhere else. Does that just give you chills? That gives me chills. It gives me, gives me chills. There. such chills that I'm going to repeat it. If something is receding in its observable manifestation, it's because unseen energy is gathering somewhere else. Commit that to memory. If that doesn't feel important to you, I don't know what does. When you approach the shape that has no shape, you move away from judging experiences by the obvious. Someone with riches may have lost their ability to appreciate the simple things. Another faces loss and discovers the treasure of rebirth in the face of death. Whether it is phenomena transforming energy on the earth, or the closed doors out there which lead to an awakening in here, in the great cycle, energy is always conserved. In both the inner and outer landscape, what ebbs outward flows inward, and what ebbs inward flows outward. Right. Exactly. When you disown energy in here, it takes shape as an opportunity to discover it out there. When you encounter a barrier out there, it will give definition to the rising wall in here. When you disown energy in here, this is so true though. This is what shadow work is about, like discovering that disowned energy, because with what we cannot see in ourselves, we project out into the world and we see out there. Because it's that mirror that's teaching us that lesson. And it continues. Lessons will be continued until they're learned. The conservation of energy takes form in the image of snow on a mountain. During winter, snow is conserved in the hills above, so that the snowpack can sustain the population throughout the coming year. The flowing water or energy of future rivers remains an inanimate condition that demonstrates how nature does not destroy but conserves and transforms. The sun asks you to begin to discern this subtle way that this is occurring around you. There is nothing constant in the universe. All ebb and flow, and every shape that's born bears in its womb the seeds of its opposite. That's the yin and the yang. This is the fundamental way that the yielding becomes firm and the firm becomes yielding. To follow the way of nature, when you yield, you become strong. When you are strong, you are more able to yield. So much wisdom in this that just one card. I feel like this is all the wisdom of the universe. But yeah, every single card has tons and tons more. It's almost overwhelming. The vast majority of life forms are insects. And their longevity on this planet suggests that they will probably outlive us as humans. Their profound ability to adapt is what makes life's most fragile creatures its strongest. Life never leads you into crisis, it leads you into a season of change. When decrease appears, recognize how life turns you back to fortify you. In this, you will discover abundance and joy even during a period of decrease. Unchanging. To the mind that is still, the entire universe surrenders. The joyful lake is represented by the mind that is still. The entire universe surrenders. The joyful lake is repressed by the weight of the mountain of keeping still. This can show that emotional responses are out of balance to the changing events. By increasing what is below, one exacerbates what is above. Frustration, anger, or blind enthusiasm will not change the situation. You may need to find the stillness suggested by the mountain and find the grace to let go. Imbalance is usually the reason that decrease would appear unchanging. However, nothing in the situation will change until your attitude changes. Being resentful, expecting something different, or holding on to the past will only blind you to emerging opportunity. Don't spend beyond your means and realize that giving can also take away another's power. In the unchanging form, sun is a message that decrease of some sort may be necessary in this situation. Although we are pushing blindly ahead, remember the master's words. To the mind that is still, the whole universe surrenders. In unchanging form, this hexagram can suggest a time of seeing through the illusion of scarcity to understand that less is more. I was looking up to see if I could see something at the top, but I couldn't. Line 1. Finishing quickly and leaving without blame. Examine its effects. Changes to youthful folly. One is in a hurry to complete something to move forward. It is important to examine what is left undone, diminished or left behind in this haste. Sacrifices between people need to be a balance give and take. Consider what may need to be decreased in the situation and whether you are actually taking by giving. Right? Ensure that giving to others does not diminish their power or merely fortify your power. Bum, bum, bum. Line 2. Without decreasing oneself, one increases others. Changes to nourishing vision. Consider whether sacrifice for another diminishes your dignity or compromises your principles. The situation allows you to hold to your integrity while still giving to another. Sharing with others brings real fulfillment. Line 3. 3 people journey and lose one. One alone finds a companion. Changes to controlled power. You may need to examine companionship to arrive at a proper synergy. 3 can create a triangular dynamic of jealousy and intrigue. Even if you have to go it alone, you will find those of like mind. Okay. Line 4. Decreasing one's faults equals others come and rejoice. Changes to opposition. Anytime you meet contention among others, it is good to examine the part you play in the conflict. If you can look within and see a heart that is not tainted, others will joyfully join you. Line 5. Others are benefiting. 1. 10 oracle readings don't lie. Supreme good fortune. Changes to inner truth. Because of your steadfast integrity, the way opens, and great fortune rewards your inner truth. This is a very auspicious line showing that the work you have done to be honest and generous to others will be rewarded. A time of good fortune is emerging after testing. So now that I got that far down, I'm thinking, this must mean, like, where it falls on your, like you throw 6 lines, maybe, and where this hexagram falls means one of these things. It's okay. Whatever. I don't do the I Ching, so I don't know, but that's what I'm thinking it must mean. So line 6, increase self without depriving others, equals 1 takes a job but loses a home. Auspicious. Okay. Changes to approach. You move forward knowing that balancing your own needs with those of others sometimes requires a sacrifice. In that, you are of service but lose the safety of your home paradigm. Those in the service of humanity often put the ego needs and comforts aside as they become a vessel for higher good and wander from place to place. I'm at the bottom of the page and it just decided to reload for no reason. The self is increased because we become one with others and our being is magnified. This line is auspicious because you are in service to the truth of the moment, though. Willingness and openness, this openness and willingness to serve leads to great opportunities and others approach you with trust. Sometimes this line appears unmoving because of work opportunity. Oh, that makes sense, right? Work opportunity where you have to move. Now, that was on cafesoul.com. Now I'm at divination.com. I'm probably going to round up pretty soon. This is getting pretty long. And now I have nobody watching, but hopefully I'll get plenty of rewatchers. So this is showing the picture of decrease and the, I can't really show it. It won't fit, I don't think. Oops. There we go. There's the picture of decrease. Increase and decrease are both part of the natural cycle of life. As another ancient scripture put it, to everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. What ancient scripture is that? Just kidding. Like a reservoir used to irrigate the fields, learning to accept a temporary decrease in position, feelings, or material possessions prepares the way for an increase in the future. We live in materialistic times, but there is no disgrace in letting go of some of your assets. This can be part of an investment in future gains, a gain that may come in the form of greater freedom, learning, or development of personal character. Likewise, the inner strength that comes from bearing an unanticipated loss can be balanced by an increase in inner strength and insight. When letting go of material desires leads to greater simplicity in daily life, good fortune comes calling. In nature, the lake evaporates. I was just thinking about this. Then the lake evaporates to form clouds that drop rain, which nurtures the surrounding forest. As the forest grows thick, more rain is captured to increase the lake. Similarly, some evaporation of resources or a decrease in one area of your life will give rise to an eventual increase in another. The loss of responsibility at work can mean more free time, and more free time may generate greater creativity or more career options. In general, a decrease can free the spirit and fill the soul with a lofty and satisfying sense of purpose. Be mindful of the lessons of young lovers. Even with minimal possessions, feelings of the heart can bring an unsurpassed richness to life. The smallest of actions, if sincere, can have great value. Remain confident, for a time of decrease may actually bode good fortune for you, especially if you remain open to the possibility. Let go of frustration, resistance, and regret over whatever might be decreasing at this time. See the larger picture and accept the ebb and flow of life cycles. I was thinking about how the suit of swords represents air and the suit of cups represents water. And how the order of them is sometimes switched when the elements are ordered or the suits are ordered. The way that I order them is with the masculines on top and the feminine on the bottom, more men, and also in the order of how they would condense. So wands and fire, swords and air, cups and water, pentacles or coins and earth. The Kabbalah is often taught, and I've heard it taught both ways actually, but it's often taught that it's wands and then cups and then swords and then pentacles. I'm telling you, for me, it's wands, swords, cups, pentacles. But I was thinking, it's interesting those specific two switch places, because I was also thinking about how air and water are, we have the illusion that they're separate, but they're actually, like, they're two sides of the same coin. Same as our feelings and our thoughts. Our thoughts and feelings, I believe, are two sides of the same coin. And the swords in the air representing mental, and the cups and water representing the emotional. But I was thinking about the water cycle and how the water evaporates into the air and then comes back down, and the air comes back down as water. And so that even though we think of them as two separate, they're like the most they date on a daily basis is a constant interchange between the air and water elements, between the swords and the cups, and between the emotions and the feelings. So I was thinking about that today, and then here it is mentioned right here in this hexagram. Just kind of blows me away a little bit. Let go of frustration, resistance, and regret over whatever might be decreasing at this time. See the larger picture and accept the ebb and flow of life cycles. Earlier said, whatever is going out of one place is going into another, and whatever is going in of one place is going out of another. You know, changing line interpretations. Okay, we already read those. My throat's a little sore, so if you want to read the changing line interpretations, it's divination.com. 41 decrease. I will say, it is talking about being of service to others. At least line 1 and 2 is. In order to render true service to others who are lacking advantages, it is essential that you don't compromise your dignity. A decrease in self-respect that grows out of excessive subservience, even to a higher goal, can lead to a decrease in performance as well as self-esteem, both of which would be counterproductive. To truly be of good service to others, you must take care of yourself first. That's line 2. Line 1, bottom line. If you want to be of service to others who have less, there's no blame in that, but you must be careful to not assume too much responsibility for them. It's so important. We can't take those problems away from them. They need those problems. Our problems are really important to us. They're how we grow and how we learn, and they're what motivate us. I actually saw it on a talk show, like, not really put that way, but it was, the parents were complaining about the son. He was doing all these things, and they were always, like, picking up, cleaning up his messes, and hoping that, he would do better next time. But he wasn't living with the consequences of his behavior. They were. And the person on the talk show said, your son doesn't have any problems. And they looked at him like he was crazy. And he said that he doesn't have any problems. You have all of his problems. Because they were trying to be good parents and help him, and thinking if they took all of his problems that he could start fresh without any problems. But that's not how it works. That's not how it worked for them. That's just not how it worked. And he said, you need to give your son back all of his problems. And they don't want to do that. That seemed mean. We don't want to give all of his problems to him, but they're his problems. And so this is a boundary issue. When you're taking other people's problems and assuming responsibility for them, you're taking their problems, you're taking their chance to grow, or you're taking their chance to overcome something, you're taking their, you're taking away their chance to shine and to show who they are. You're taking away their Six of Wands moment. How can they be victorious if they don't have any battle to fight, right? You can take away if you take away their battle, you take away their valor, their victory, So yeah, we have to have those boundaries where we know where we keep our problems for ourselves and don't take on other people's problems. As it says, lest you deprive them of their dignity and the chance to advance through their own effort, right? Learn to be sensitive when taking the burdens of others, carefully avoiding self-righteousness. Yes. And very, very carefully avoiding temptation to tell them that they should be grateful to you, because that is going to that is definitely going to take their dignity away. You should be grateful, or you would never have succeeded if it weren't for the help I gave you. Nobody wants to hear that, right? There are people who will do that. They'll offer to help you, and then they'll always remind you, And they'll tell you, and they'll tear you down because they'll say, you couldn't have done it without me, right? Likewise, when the tables are turned, a mature person considers how much help he or she can accept without putting their helpers at risk, right? Sometimes people want to do too much for us. It could harm them, and we have to say no, like, this is what's reasonable, and the rest I'll have to do on my own. Such deep consideration makes giving and receiving happen with ease over time and without concern about possible decrease. Line 3 again says, if 3 people go off on a journey, one will drop out. If one goes out alone, a second will join up along the way. So, 3 go out together, one drops out, that one's going to pick somebody else up. The strongest bonds and deepest relations are between 2 people. Agreements among 3 people, no matter how lofty the intentions, are never quite as stable. Two's company, 3 is a committee. Letting go of extraneous relationships could be suggested. Line 4, if your negative habits or personality faults are alienating others, there is one solution. Straighten up. When people let go of negative habits, new opportunities and good fortune flow into fill the void. Line 5, natural. Good luck is here. Great fortune is your destiny now, and you need fear nothing. Enjoy, invest. Higher energies are supporting you. Line 6, top line. There are different ways to acquire wealth, but the highest and most satisfying is increasing the collective good. Beautiful. Increasing the collective good rather than going after your own gain at everyone else's expense. For extremely successful, enlightened people, their increase causes no decrease for others. They have learned to advance by generating more for all, not by clever maneuvering to advance self-interest alone. The prosperity of such people rebounds to the good fortune of all beings. When I went to Vegas, and I hung out by the craps table, and it was the best place to be because everybody would win or lose together, and so everyone is celebrating everyone else's win, and it's just such a good energy. Okay. Now I'm going to read from I Ching Mothering Change, a project of In the Family Way. And it's motheringchange.com. Hexagon 41, Diminishing Sun. And it looks like an O. It's these lines. Oops. It's the straight line, the broken lines, and the 2 straight lines at the bottom, but it looks like an O with a sort of, circle in the middle. Diminishing. A connection to the spirits will carry you through. Wise words. The way of the source is open, without fault. There is an ailing trial. Advantageous to have a direction to go. How to make use of this? 2 vessels allow you to make the presentation. Decrease greedy desires and aim at a higher goal. Curb anger and passion. Do not be carried away. Beware of showing off, stealing, greed, and unjust use of resources. Again, this is reminding me of temperance. Be simple, sincere, and transparent. The image. The old character shows 2 open hands, a reverential bow, and a sacred vessel with a circle above it that indicates empty, hollow, nothing, 0. Circle of meaning, decrease loss. So that's like, okay. Take away, make smaller, sacrifice, concentrate, criticize, depersonalize, diminish passions, decrease compulsive desires, reduce things to the essence, aim at a higher goal, seek significant pattern. Heart theme 24, return to the spirit. So we're kind of talking about minimizing, or what's the decluttering, decluttering your life. Spirit helpers, mountain over lakes. Youngest son, youngest daughter, The gatekeeper and the mediator are setting an outer limit that stimulates inner ideas. Concentrate on inner ideals, which we also get the inner ideals with the Princess of Cups. Decrease personal involvement and compulsions. Curb your anger and inquire into motives. Ask yourself why things are being done the way they are. Augment the reception and diminish the aggression. Diminishing makes things smaller and closer to the spirits. This is an enabling divination, so have a plan and follow it. The outer limit will bring inner development to expression. Something significant is returning, so repair and adjust your connection this way. Connection to the way. This is heavy at first, but lets you become versatile and adjust to the time. Act this way with confidence. This is the origin of good fortune and meaningful events. Voice of the Mother. Aim at a higher goal. Curb your anger and restrain your passion. Examine your motivations. Inner self-reflection now reveals the patterns that mark real endings and beginnings. Release the energy now wound up in the past. Do not focus on protecting and nurturing your own spirit, because you're releasing. You're not protecting. You're not full of coins. You're free. You're free flowing. You're innocent. You're naive. You're innocent. You're trusting. You're loose and relaxed, and you're not fearful. You've never been heartbroken. You got that whatever that fancy word is. Sun, diminishing, and Yi, augmenting. Offer a paradigm of sacrifice and its results. Diminishing is the offering. What is below gives to what is above. The root of the term is hand and a sacrificial vessel, pouring out the libation. It is the food and the wine, the cooking grains and the vessel, the objects the victims offered in sacrifice are put into the tombs. The waning moon, the victim, the old king, all that is offered. It is suggests making reverence a full ritual prostration, and includes the meaning to lessen, harm, destroy, lose, or weaken, for the things offered are truly destroyed. Like, it's gone. You give it away. It's no longer yours, or you destroy it, and it's just, it is biting or mordant speech, criticism, and self-approach, a gift that costs much effort. Philosophically, this is the cultivation of power and virtue, which keeps harm away by reducing things to the essential, eliminating the useless or outmoded, and thus revealing the way. Summer, ripen the fruits. Through surrender of personal ambition, clean up mistakes of the past. Do what you have to do. Fall, harvest the crop by stepping back. Don't attack the very process that will give you what you need. Stop and establish your foundation, and the fruit will fall into your hands. Winter, find the seed of the new. Make sure the rules you set don't obstruct your willpower. Follow your real goals. Spring, rouse new growth through stripping away the past. Find your new guiding image. Rise and activate your great purpose. Voice of the Fathers. This is an inspiring figure, a site of intense mediating activity that connects the primary powers to personal life. It is part of a zone of radical transformation, where we pass through the tiger's mouth to open the heart anew. It is the gate to the state of symbolic life that confers higher levels of empowerment in culture and a new ritual status on the fully individualized being. I don't know why, but this totally makes me think of the Mary Owl Tarot. The situation, a downswing, a time to accumulate and store energy for the creation of future loving. Caring for others. Focus on learning, growth, and the inner prosperity of the family. Do not try to maintain current levels of activity. Emphasize inner cultivation, morale, transparency of motive, and practices. Storing resources. Preservation is the key now. Use real sincerity and integrity of purpose. Right? That water is now stored in ice. Setting intentions. Slowing down, cutting back, regrouping, and redirecting of resources. Settle unresolved issues. Use resources to support the inner development of the family. Postpone new endeavors. Engage only in the priorities and ideas that sustain fundamental needs. Economize and persevere. So now you're getting down to what's really important, what's essential, what's We're putting everything into what's essential right now. We're not buying anything right now because we're paying off our debt, kind of a thing, you know. Or we're not buying anything right now because we're building up our savings. Or we're not buying anything right now because we're putting all of our money into our business or whatever one thing that we've decided is what's essential. Communication and interaction. Make sure all promises and agreements are fair and equitable. No ideas that come up. This is a time to develop and sharpen your intuition. Be fair, listen, evaluate, and remember. Change from the inside out. Cut back on all levels. Inner development now will bring greater well-being in the end. Outer actions will be wasted. This is all about the inner development. The Princess of Cups is all about inner development as well. Your inner world. Being aware of your inner world. Pay attention to your dreams, not to interpret their meanings, but just, write them down and start noticing, like, places that you go regularly and themes that repeat, and just get an understanding of your inner world. In the way that your subconscious, interprets things and tells you the symbols that it chooses, that it likes to use, and the motifs, etc., etc. Change from the inside out. Cut back on all levels. Inner development will now bring greater well-being. In the end, outer action will be wasted. Only ideas and things that are visibly and obviously useful can be developed successfully. You cannot control the situation. You can adapt successfully. Immediate future difficulties and losses that reveal a hidden pattern. Personal development. Diminish your passions and focus on real ideals. Working within the family. Help others see blessings in their suffering. Expanding the circle. Concentrate on inner work. Build the base. Build the base. Build the base. Build the base. Partnership. Shift from emotional to spiritual to clear the feeling field. Pairing. Bringing change to life. Each hexagram is part of a pair that activates hidden paths of transformative energy through the interaction of the trigrams or spirit helpers, connecting phases of inspiration and realization. You are in the inspiring phase of this pair. The transformative process of the pair 41-42, diminishing and augmenting, inspires you to give up all the patterns of aggression and need to open yourself to the blessings that result. Outer to inner, the process turns the gatekeeper trigram in the outer world of 41 into the groundbreaker trigram in the inner world of 42. This turns your abstract awareness of boundaries and patterns into inner enlightenment. Inner to outer. This interiorization transforms the mediator trigram in the inner world of 41 into the matchmaker trigram in the outer world of 42. This turns inner self-reflection into the ability to find a place where you can influence the world you live in. Transforming lines. Mothering change presents transforming lines as steps of change that show you where and how to focus your energy. Click on the links to connect with the relating future generated by each line. New. Inner world. Step 1. Beginnings. This return of the spirit attracts a new fate. Complete this. Go swiftly. This is not a mistake. Discussing diminishes it. Make the connection quickly. Do not let discussion diminish your resolve. You have to correct a far-reaching error. Punish those who must be punished and set your spirit free. Do not sit there while weaving blood is coursing down all around you. Something significant is returning now. Be open and provide what is needed. Step 2. Inner center. This inner reorganization helps to harmonize with others. Advantageous trial, chastising closes the way. Trap. This diminishes nothing, it augments it. This is a very advantageous connection. Everyone will benefit. Do not try to discipline people or set out on an expedition. Shake up the source of nourishment. Reject the rules and clear the channels. You have a kind, generous heart and a noble spirit. Act through this virtue and kindness. You can create something that endures. Be open and provide what is needed. Step 3, threshold. This inner rebalancing lets you make your way in life. When there are 3 people moving, they will be diminished by 1. When one person is moving, they acquire a friend. If you are involved in a triangle, it will soon become a couple. If you are alone, you will soon have a friend. You are pursuing a great ideal. Do not lose heart. This drudgery will bring you profit and insight in the end. The center of life is moving, and you are an important part of it. Putting your ideas to the trial lets you disentangle yourself from the past. If you let yourself be led, you can realize the hidden potential. Cooperate with the ongoing process of change. Outer world. We have step 4, 5, and 6. Then we're done. Arrival. This inner preparation leads to what is greater. Diminishing your affliction. Commission someone to carry it swiftly. There will be rejoicing. This is not a mistake. This connection is seriously harming you. Just diminish your involvement. Send someone quickly to give the message that you will soon have cause to rejoice. In your isolation, you'll encounter a powerful friend who will help you. Make sure your house is in order. Honestly, repent your past mistakes. What seems like an unfortunate happening will soon turn out to your benefit. The center is moving and you are a part of it. Cooperate with the ongoing process of change. Step 5, outer center. This inner regrouping lets your real purpose shine. Someone augments you. The way to the source is open. 10 pairs of tortoise divinations cannot control or contradict this. Okay? This is a blessing and a message from above. Nothing can interfere with your plans and your desires. There is a hidden spirit calling you. The call of the inner self. Do not hesitate to answer. This will bind you to others on a deep spiritual level. Be open and provide what is needed. Step 6, culmination. The inner stripping leads to a breakthrough. This sacrifice does not diminish you, it augments you. This is not a mistake. Wise words. Trial. The way is open. Advantageous to have a direction to go. You acquire servants, not dwellings. You will not be diminished, but augmented by this. It will bring good things to everyone involved. Have a plan. Be sure of yourself. You will get considerable help, but this will not be a sedentary affair. You need a great idea around which you can organize your passion. Generosity and wealth are nearing. Be generous with what you acquire, and all your desires will be fulfilled. It is definitely the right time to act. Something significant is returning. So, this whole concept of diminishing is very interesting. Hexagram 41, Dreamhawk. Soon, but with a short vowel, as in book. Sun. Sun. Okay, so it's called sun, but it's pronounced sun. Decrease. I lied, because now I've got another thing. But it's short. Circumstances have led to a major dwindling in your fortune. The hexagram shows us having arisen out of the relationship between something or someone stubborn and unyielding, and someone or something passionate and giving. The unyielding takes unrestrainedly, and the passionate is self-sacrificing to the point of deprivation. If these points are understood, they can be righted in some measure. One can draw from them a reward other than material ones. This is because such decrease presents the opportunity to discover resources not previously called into action. For instance, fears and worries must be met, lest they overwhelm one, and changes must be navigated. These are skills useful when increase inserts itself. Right? So you're building up for when you do get stuff, that you'll be prepared. For a while, at least, there may be a need to live with greater simplicity through having less resources, whether emotional or material. Continue to care for others, even if it means some sacrifice. Being able to live simply is a great boon. The period of decrease follows one of gain or increase. It is a natural flow in the rhythm of life. If there can be an accordance with this by letting go of what is already ready to drop away. less difficulty will arise. Do not let thoughts of failure or bitterness end this period, as it will pass. If this inquiry is about a relationship that decreases in the amount of passion or togetherness, but love itself has not disappeared, the season of intimacy has passed for a while. Keywords: decrease calls us to live with greater simplicity. Inner resources are called upon with restraint. The winter passes without mishap. So, yeah. So decrease. It is a time to drop off your leaves. The extraneous. Let the extraneous go. And think about what leaves you need to drop away. Ooh, I did not mean to shake that up. So there we go. Thanks for joining me for this very long stream about the Princess of Cups. Until next time, tarot friends, be well.